Welcome to the CE Pro podcast. I'm Executive Editor Arlen Schweiger. Despite the pandemic this year, custom integrators have not only remained resilient, but many have thrived with ongoing projects for affluent clientele. Of course, serving that segment of the population comes with its own challenges, so we gathered representatives from the integrator, manufacturer, and distributor sides of the industry to share their experiences finding, working with, and providing top-shelf customer service for serving luxury clients. Time Smart Homes Matt Montgomery, Just Add Power's Taft Stricklin, and BlackWire Designs Cody Crossland join the podcast this week. Matt, let's just start with you in terms of where do you find luxury clients, or how do they find you? How do most of those wind up coming to you guys at Time? And if they're seeking to hire you, is it the client? Is it also the specifier, the architect, the designer, all those sorts of things?
Probably a lot of the same things that some of the other dealers have found. You got to get a little bit lucky with your first big project. I think you're hiring clients. They want to know that you've done one before. And I think that's the hardest part. And there's 100 different ways you can get into that first one. And then after that, it's a lot of referral based, or, if you have a builder or an architect channel partner. Mm-hmm. But the thing that's interesting about it is that every one of us has a high-end client we've picked up that came from a referral partner that wasn't their referral partner. So what I mean is, like, they have a home builder that has a baked in AV company that they love, and they didn't go with that AV company and they come with you. And the thing that we always hear from those clients is that it's all about the relationship. They understand at some level that there's going to be an ongoing relationship with their AV guy, especially if they've had another home with an AV system in it, and this is their next dream home or their vacation home. And that relationship's everything to them. So even if, the builder is promoting you, you need to make sure that whoever your guy is that's answering the phone and the emails is somebody who really understands those relationships, answers the phone, returns the phone calls, the emails, even when it's not convenient and not fun. And beyond that, there's a lot of different ways it can come in, but what we've really seen this year is we survey our own clients, is that's the number one feedback, is the relationship is king.
So in terms of surveying your own clients, what are some of the things that you're asking about?
So we have kind of an interesting mix, because we have our Utah market where we market the same way I think 90% of the dealers do. We work with builders and we try and reach out to architects and designers. And in our Utah market, 90% of our business comes from paretive homes. So we'll do a discounted system for some kind of a show home. 20,000 people come through the home, and we pick off a lot of business from that. Just being there at the home and meeting clients and, saying hi and answering their questions. Around the country, we do a lot of consulting work, and that is a whole different animal and beast. And we survey a lot of those clients to say, why are you reaching out to us when you have local dealers and people in your market? Why would you call us? And we usually
How have they typically found you?
Just through like social media and blog content, things that we've done on online marketing. A lot of the awards that we've won, people see that and they go, oh, this company's won an award from Just Add Power or from CE Pro. And that's interesting. They read a little bit more about it. And that usually lands them on our website somewhere. And then somewhere in that process, we say, hey, if you have questions about your smart home, let us know. We'll answer. Not, hey, we'll sell you a smart home. We'll answer your questions. But when we survey those, we try not to steer that conversation. We leave it pretty open. And the two things that come back is, number one, relationship. And number two, people don't want to be sold the dealer's system. They want to be sold the system that's right for them. If they feel like you're selling them a Control 4 system because you're a Control 4 rep, it's a pretty big red flag.
Yeah, okay.
And so we try really, really hard to talk more generally about video distribution or about smart home control and lighting control until we get a little farther in the discussion. And then we can niche down into specifics. And that tends to make these higher end clients feel like you are fitting the right product to their application rather than forcing them into what you carry.
Okay. Well, let's hold off a little bit on that because I want to go a little deeper in a second. But just in terms of your clientele, do you make a concerted effort to say or to look at them differently in terms of, well, this is kind of more of like a mid-market client. This is more of, really a luxury. Like, do you tier them that way? And does it change? how you go about marketing to them?
Not necessarily. The only thing that really changes is our expectation internally of how much more demanding the conversation is going to be with the more luxury clients, whether
Okay.
it's a middleman or them. In terms of a marketing standpoint, it's kind of like that investment saying where if you're going out and raising capital, the person who has $1,000 to give you has less to give you than the person who's giving you 1 million. So the person who can only give you 1,000 is going to be way more upset with you when it goes bad than the person who can give you 1 million. So your smaller end projects can be more demanding and more angry than your luxury clients. They just don't talk to you as much as your luxury clients.
Gotcha. And we'll go into all the other kind of things that you were alluding to there. For Taft and Cody, from the manufacturer and distributor standpoint, what are some of the things that you guys need to do or continue to do with the products that you're doing, with the other marketing collateral that you're coming up with, other kinds of literatures, sales leads? What are you doing from the manufacturer and distribution standpoint to help integrators attract these kind of clientele? Taft, let's start with you.
Well, I mean, first off, video distribution is already kind of a luxury item. It's not something that goes into every single thing built. It's not like we're selling light switches and do you want the $1.99 light switch or the $299 light switch? So it's not a necessity. So we were really born in the luxury side of the CEDIA market and have grown into whether it's the luxury yachting market or the commercial market or whatever it may be. I have very fortunate to have an amazing sales team. And over the years, flipping over every stone, chasing every lead, communicating with end users, with integrators, with designers, builders. Early on, the big thing for us was to build demo kits and send them out because people would just go, this doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. And really kind of putting product in people's hands as a loaner was really big. And just recently, 3 weeks ago, I was out at about an 18,000 square foot log cabin and with an integrator doing a demo with a bunch of TVs set up in their garage with the garage doors open and masks on. And once the guy understood the concept, the phrase that I've coined is the American dream. What people want is a great big giant TV hanging on the wall and they don't see any gear. There's no wires. There's no stuff sitting around. There's not that thing sitting on the IKEA table to the left and a wire for the sound bar. So, I kind of claim I sell the American dream into luxury homes, which is exactly what Time does. So they do it on a larger scale. So I think our key was just getting out, getting in front of people, doing demonstrations, being available to answer questions, and just being really involved and hands-on was the key to that. And then naturally, like I said, we were just kind of born into that luxury market, and that's grown even more because it's trickled down into smaller projects and things like that. So
Okay. And Cody, how about from your standpoint on the distributor side?
So it's pretty important for us to have a couple different ways that we look at it. Now, because we're business to business, we're not necessarily going to be discovering the clients directly, right? Like there's not a good process for us to refer people like to Time, for example. We do occasionally, we'll get people, on our website asking questions and things like that. And we always refer them back to the dealer that they're working with, or, encourage them to find a dealer in their area. But from our perspective on the business to business side, we want to make sure that we're choosing the products that would not only give us a very good experience for the dealer during installation and support and things like that, and the end result, how well does it work? But then also giving them a good selection of those things. So, for example, we're known as being, one of the top Just Add Power distributors. And that's one of the things, that a lot of the luxury installs will use for video distribution. So, partnering up with companies like that allow us to do, the other things that we're known for too, which is the after hours and weekend support, which is something that's going to be very important for your luxury clients, maintaining that relationship, to the dealer. That's everything. When they can pick up the phone, they can go on our website and start a chat or send an email. And, in other times when somebody might be closed, they can chat with a human being and, potentially save, their customers' weekend or holiday get together that they're having.
Yeah, so
So
that's something that you guys provide as a distributor in terms
it
of
is.
basically after hours tech support,
Yep.
anything else that they need in a pinch kind of thing?
Yeah, that's right. So in the beginning of the process, we work with our dealers, like let's say Time has a project that they're working on and they're not familiar with a project or a new product that we're carrying. We would do free system design service to walk them through it. Like, tell us a little bit about your project. What do you want the end result to be?
Mhm.
These are the products then that we would recommend for that. So, whether that's a video distribution system from Just Add Power, whether it's a Ruckus, enterprise grade Wi-Fi system for the house, and we're doing, an estimate of what the expected Wi-Fi coverage would be in the home. We're giving them the tools to go to their customer and be confident in that sale and say, we know everything that we need to know about it to be confident to sell it, then to do the installation, and that we're going to get the support that we need to make this really flawless. And then the third aspect of that is just offering brands that are more, how would I describe it, as luxury oriented and not the same brands that everybody else is carrying.
Mhm.
If you've got, 10 dealers that sell the same thing, but then you've got another dealer that's offering something a little bit more unique of an experience, so we've got brands like our speaker brands like Focal, Dion Audio, ELAC, it's not the everyday run of the mill stuff. And it sets the dealers apart because they have something else that's different, maybe a little bit more high end, a little bit more luxurious. So,
Sure,
it's not just another Sonos play bar on the wall, for example.
that makes sense. So Matt, kind of jumping off on that in terms of showing the types of products, the technologies, all this cool stuff to a luxury customer, someone that might have a little bit of the extra budget that they can deal with, might be working with designers. Certainly, will have a lot of pull when it comes to potential repeat business at a secondary home, something like that. Clearly, you're going to take a lot of care when it comes to working with this individual or whoever this individual's handler is or other trades involved in terms of the showroom tour and the consultation with these types of clients. Can you tell me just a little bit about that in terms of what some of that looks like these days?
Yeah, again, we're probably a little bit of an anomaly just because of kind of the way our business has evolved, sort of accidentally. We do a lot more kind of over the phone consulting. We actually currently don't have a showroom. And give you some perspective, our last two big projects, one was a 18,000 square foot home, about a $300,000 system. One in Boca Raton, Florida was a 7,000 square foot home, at about a $500,000 system. And neither of them came to a showroom.
Wow.
And now I would qualify that by saying, I think there were things where like home theater and hi-fi audio, I think
Mhm.
that showrooms can be really, really valuable. But if you're a new dealer out there and you're going, God, I can't play with the big boys because I don't have a showroom. Again, most of these luxury clients kind of know what they want already. They just want somebody to help them understand the nuances. Like, if I get Just Add Power and I want to get into video tiling for my big theater screen, what do I really need to understand about that? And I don't need to bring them to a showroom to help them understand
Mhm.
what that user experience is actually going to be. I have to understand it at a high enough level to explain it to them so that their expectation matches reality. And that's not going to happen at a showroom either. If they come in and they see video tiling in a showroom, their expectations probably not in line with reality. And so what we've got to do is work really, really hard to set their expectations so it aligns with reality. And I guess what we've found is as we go through that process, that makes them more confident in who we are and what we can do with them than any demos they see. The 18,000 square foot client was looking to invest in our company, and he asked me about our showroom. And I said, well, you never came to our showroom. What was your experience? And he said, oh, it never crossed my mind once to come to your showroom. I was just 100% confident that things were going to work the way that we said they were going to. And that's kind of our aim and our goal. And so I'm not poo-pooing showrooms. I think they're awesome. I just think that sometimes we think we need them more than we do.
But clearly there's something in the consultation process that you guys have done. Maybe you can delve into a little bit more with that client itself, or the ones that you were talking about, where they weren't in Utah, where you're based. You're dealing with them on a national level. So just a little bit more about, what's involved in, is it showing your professionalism? Is it showing certifications, showing, awards, things like that? What are some of the aspects of dealing with these clients to kind of, I know, like you said, they already have in their mind what they want. But what is it that just kind of gives them that extra confidence in your company that you're able to convey to them?
I think part of it is we're really honest about what we don't know. Cody and Taft will both appreciate this, but we lean really, really hard on our key vendors and distributors. Look, we use Just Add Power about 80, 90% of our distribution projects for a very specific reason. This 18,000 square foot home had a little bit of a disaster with their Sony TV. And we were able to lean on Just Add Power, and they were able to write a custom patch for us and help us get it fixed. And we know that. And so we kind of do two things. We're really, really honest about pain points. As an example, if a client comes to us and says, hey, I want to get Vizio TVs, we'll say, that's fine. You can get Vizio TVs, but we won't program them. We won't warranty them. There are other dealers that will, we won't, because we know it's going to be a disaster. And if you have a Samsung TV that predates serial and IAP, we're not going to touch it. It's just not worth it. And then in those conversations, like the Boca Raton job, we were able to tell the client, we can't adequately do your network. We know networks, we understand networks, but the sophistication of your home and your network is beyond us. So we're bringing in a third-party company that knows it really, really well, and they're the experts, and they'll help us make sure that this is right what you need. And I think in that process, people start to go, you're not pretending to be all things to all people. You just are helping us pull together the best talent. And when they ask us like, well, why do you use Just Add Power? We have a couple of things about why we always use Just Add Power. And when we explain that, unless they've done their own research and know they want Crestron, almost every single client comes back and says, oh, that all makes sense. Great. We'll use Just Add Power.
Right. But typically, are you talking to them about certain companies and why you use certain companies? Is that all part of the narrative and what makes time?
We really don't talk about brands.
Okay.
Until kind of the last step. So we have what we call a design consultation, and we go through what we call the subsystems. So we'll talk about video and audio distribution, and we'll get into things like audio down mixing, and we'll talk about video matrices versus video over IP and why one solution makes more sense for a client than another. And 9 times out of 10, when clients come through that, they know that they want video over IP because they understand that, well, today I only want 4 TVs, but I might want 8 TVs and 16 sources later. So I fathom and wrap my head around video over IP. And I understand that in these 2 rooms, I'm going to care about audio down mixing, but in these other 6 rooms, I'm not going to care about audio down mixing. So now when they get to buying the solutions, they go, well, okay, what solutions do I want? And we provide solutions to them. And if they know that they want audio distribution, and they want audio down mixing, they know they want scalability, they know they want 4K, and they know what platform they think they want, it really narrows down really, really fast the available solutions. But they're kind of self-identifying it because they understand what the user experience is that they're trying to achieve, rather than I want this box, as I want this experience. And we can say, well, these are the 2 boxes that'll give it to you.
Right.
And this is the one we trust because it will break. And when it breaks, Taft and his team at Just Add Power will take care of it better than anybody else. And they go, oh, okay, well then let's go with that one. And, BlackWire Design, same thing. So it just, maybe that's an oversimplification, but it works for us. We stay away from buy box A and box B. Because what happens to integrators is no matter how hard you try, as soon as the client moves in, their expectation of reality is not the reality, and they're pissed. And it's not that the product doesn't perform or do what it's supposed to, it's that the client didn't understand it. And so we stopped selling product and we started saying, this is the user experience that you want. Clients everywhere, if you get on the phone with 100 clients, every single client is going to ask this question. I have 2 speakers in my ceiling. Does that mean I can listen to my TV through those 2 speakers? Every single client will ask that question. Most dealers won't bring it up. And most dealers just assume the client understands that that won't happen. And now the client's pissed because they can't play through their 2 audio speakers and they don't understand why. But the system's performing exactly the way it's supposed to. So we kind of changed gears and we just talk about the user experience. And we go, hey, these are 3 things that clients bring up. If you think after you move into your home, you're going to want option A, option B, option C, you need these types of products to solve it. And that very quickly drives the solution. And they go, oh, well, okay. Like I love Control 4. I'm a big Control 4 fan, but Control 4's video distribution solution doesn't scale. So even if I sell somebody a Control 4 solution, at the end of the conversation, they go, I know I'm going to want 10 more TVs. When I finish the second phase of my home, I'm going to want more TVs. I have to have an IP solution. And I know that I want audio down mixing in 3 of my rooms. So we've already gone, well, you can't use Control 4. We have to go this route with it. And then we'll have other clients that say, I know I'll never use more than 6 TVs ever. Like there's no situation where I'll ever use more than 6 TVs. So I'm going to go with video distribution from C4. Great. Saves you a little bit of money. Awesome.
Gotcha. And are there little things that you do during the project that you're able to kind of keep in mind, just in terms of when you're conducting business, when you're dealing with luxury customers or other, their designer or other specifiers, in terms of the job itself, are there things that you have to keep in mind for them that you tend to not have to keep in mind for other clients, or does it not really work like that? Is it more just, everyone kind of gets the same level of what you guys deliver at time?
There probably is. Honestly, goodness, I'm kind of drawing a blank. And the reason why is because what we kind of decided internally a while ago is that we used to do 300 Control 4 homes a year in like a track home environment. Mm-hmm. And we learned real fast the only way to manage that from service perspective is to engineer out all the headaches. And for us, if the home's 20,000 square feet or 3,000 square feet, we have to engineer out the headaches. And that's a combination of educating the clients and then using products that don't have headaches. And so it doesn't really matter for us if it's a 3,000 square foot home or a 20,000 square foot home. We want to engineer out the headaches and use products that we trust.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really change. I mean, sure, there are things like the network. This last client has like 250 items on his network at any given moment before he opens up his iPad and his laptop. So, right out of the gates, we're like, you need a ruckus solution and it's got to be enterprise grade and you cannot use Eros. Like it won't work. So sure, that conversation changes. But like in general, no, we approach them each the same. We want the client expectation to be on point and we want to engineer out the headaches.
Mm-hmm. In terms of that engineering, Taft and Cody, obviously you guys can only do, you can do so much to engineer out the headaches. In terms of being a part of helping out an integrator during a job, what's the role of the manufacturer and the distributor for that part of the process? Do you have expectations that, like Taft, will you or someone else from Just Add Power be there kind of, at the snap of a finger to help with anything that can go wrong on an installation? Is that sort of what it has to be like?
Absolutely. Taft's team's there like crazy fast. Yeah. That's my shout out for Taft and his crew.
So
they just saved their butt.
My tech support team is phenomenal. And necessity is the mother of invention. And since we manufacture our own product and we engineer it, it's pretty awesome when somebody comes to us with an issue, a quirk, request. And then we can build it into firmware and update. And so there are tons of features that our products have today that work on products that we made 10 years ago. So there's so many things that get added. We also we'll have a new hardware piece out in a few weeks. You were talking about TV audio. Yeah, stay tuned for that, guys. So I really feel like, multiple layers. I have been on tons of projects with integrators, hand holding them, face to face on large scale projects because they're nervous. So not so much now with COVID, but what happens. And then guys on my team as well. We also, if we've got an integrator doing a project, I will, put something on the calendar and set up for them, roughly 3 hours after they think they're going to start, since they run on installer time, and set them up with one of the really key people in our tech support team. Just had somebody do a really big project, set them up with somebody from our support team. They got on, the integrator called me and said, I was on the phone with them for 20 minutes. And honestly, I feel like I should just write them a check like I would a therapist, because they just walked me through everything. I was super calm. It wasn't stressful. Everything worked. We got off the phone and I said to myself, why did I even have him schedule this? And he was like, and then I remembered I'm an integrator and how Murphy's Law works. So, there's definitely that. So having a multi-award winning tech support and engineering team is huge. Being able to add features, being able to handhold through the process, and just doing that really takes it to the next level. I talked to an integrator the other day. He's doing his 6th project with the same customer. So this customer only, with this project, will only own 3 homes. But they've done 3 previously that they have since sold. And that speaks volumes when you have the integrator using it again, and then the luxury client who, homes, 2 of those homes and were like, 100 and some feet long. So a little bit different, but same concept, same thing. It just moves. So, pretty cool when that luxury client says, I just want the same thing I had before because it all worked. Yeah, and thanks for the shout out. So
speaks volumes. How about you, Cody? Similar thing for BlackWire Design? Do you guys have personnel that will go to a job, or is a lot of it kind of on the phone with tech support service? Same thing, or do you help with any kind of system design work, anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do the pre-sale system design on nearly everything that we sell. If you've got questions about it, we've got answers, even though I'm not ripping that tagline off from anybody else, but it works. And so we help them before they make their purchase so that they can feel confident that they're buying the right thing, because there's nothing worse than thinking you understand how a product or a system works, buying it and then going, well, crap, I needed, this accessory that I didn't know that I needed to make it work the way that I thought that it did. So we try to head that off at the pass. Either talking via chat, phone, or email, to our dealers before they make the purchase, or even after they make the purchase. We take a look at it and we go, hey, so-and-so ordered the wrong thing. Let's reach out to them and make sure that this was, on purpose, and kind of find out. So we save a couple of orders a year, that dealers make, and, maybe they just didn't know, or they accidentally put something in their cart that they didn't intend to. So that kind of works. And then after that, like, for example, if they're doing a Just Add Power project with us, we have a programming form that they can fill out, because one of the things that we do is we offload some of that dealer responsibility of getting it and firmware updating it and running through JAG config and some things like that. It's not hard, but it does take some time. And if you've never done it before, it can be pretty intimidating, but once you've done it, it's easy, right? So we can have the integrator answer a few questions about the project. And then before it even ships from our warehouse, we unbox everything, we firmware update it, we program it, we label it, and then pack everything together with some snacks and then ship it to the job site. So when they get it, they can open it up, they look at a PDF sheet that shows like, hey, I'm supposed to plug this cable into this port, and then everything pretty much works, and they can eat a Snickers bar while they're, programming the rest of their system. And they save themselves some time and headache, because they know if they plug everything in the way that it was designed, that it'll just work out of the box, and dealers love that. not because they can't do it, but it's because you can now send your entry-level tech, maybe they've never set up or done video distribution before, but if they can read, a chart, they can figure out where to plug things in, and it's easy. Now you have your lead tech doing something else, right?
Yeah, it just helps them become, super efficient, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Just, and
Absolutely.
they can focus on other aspects of the business during the time, or just save a little bit of time here and there.
For sure.
Sure.
So that's one of the things. And then, once they get it and maybe they have some questions about how to program some of the really cool advanced features, like maybe video tiling or a video wall, or they're setting up a Wi-Fi system and they want to know, what are some of the best practices and tweaks to set it up? We're there for them too. Even if they have issues, we prefer that, our dealers call us first, because, very likely we've run into that same issue and we know how to work around it.
Right.
So we can do like tier 1, tier 2 support. If we have an issue, then what we do is, we'll call, and I've done this a lot of times with the guys at the Just Add Power support. If we've got a weird issue like that Sony TV issue, we'll stay on the phone with the dealer. I said, okay, we've run through everything that I know how to do. Let's jump on the phone and conference call with one of their senior tech support people. And so we basically handhold that so they don't have to, hang up with us, call the other guy, get on hold, and go through that process. We're escalating that for them so they feel like they really have that concierge service, and then we get it taken care of. So they know that if they have any issues during the installation, they can reach out. And then, after the fact, if they need that service, nights and weekends, that we can get them taken care of. We actually had a guy, not a luxury residential client, but a commercial, in the before COVID time, when people were going to sports bars. He had a Just Add Power system that he had bought from us and had a problem, and it was a Friday night, and which is like the worst time for your luxury clients to have a problem, right? So his Just Add Power system wasn't working, and we did some troubleshooting with him and found out that it wasn't the system that he bought from us, but it was a problem with the control system that he was using that broke the control. So even though it wasn't anything that we sold him or worked with him on, we were able to find the cause of the issue, help him get it fixed, and save it. So that way he could still have a good Friday night at the sports bar. And then he knew what to expect on his other locations that had the same setup. So, really being there for them speaks a lot. And so they've done, a lot of business with us as a result, because they know that they can count on us to be there for them.
Right. And that's kind of the last part that I wanted to ask you about. Matt, we'll go back to you in terms of that, post-installation support. You've already done everything pre-installation, during the installation, and now post-installation, in terms of, dealing with clients that are probably, used to having everything work all the time, or having everything being fixable, at the snap of a fingers, something like that. What are some of the things that you guys prioritize for delivering the kind of, concierge level support that luxury clientele looks for to keep them satisfied? And can you think of any other little things, or other sort of proactive things that you guys do that other dealers should be thinking about, that maybe if they might not already be thinking to do these kind of things?
Yeah, candidly, right now, this is where we fall down as a company. And I think that's true for an awful lot of dealers. You have your big dealers out there that have like 30-man teams, but most of us are pretty small. And you're going to have your head programmer get sick, move, quit, whatever, right when a system's going in. And so having a company like BlackWire that you can fall back on, at some point when it hurts, that transition is going to hit. The guy that you trust and lean on to program your systems and service your high-end clients is going to be gone or unavailable when you need it most. And it's almost impossible to buy your way out of that if you're not a huge dealer. So strategically working with companies like BlackWire that can help with the engineering, but also the after-hour support, I think is key. And there's a handful of these value-added distributors out there. But like, I think as dealers, the more we team up with them, the better it's going to get for us. I just think we don't think it. I know I didn't. The other thing is, similar to setting their expectations, we have to set our client expectations more clearly. The guys at One Vision are real big on this. They call it the 90-day break-in. And it's like, you have 90-day break-in period after your system goes in, and it's going to break and fall apart for those 90 days. We promise you, we guarantee you those first 90 days, it's not going to work as well as we would like it to work. So expect that. It's interesting. This past year is the first time we've ever done what I would consider like ultra wealth clients. We've had big $1 million projects, but the kind of client who buys a Ferrari or a Lamborghini because he needs to buy 3 Ferraris to buy the Ferrari that he really wants. And he gets it back and goes, shade of red isn't what I wanted. So I took it back to the dealer. They had to buy it back from me. And I bought a different Ferrari. And that first Ferrari that I bought was a custom Ferrari for me. So they got to figure out a way to sell it to the next guy. Like that's the mentality.
How did you adjust
right?
to dealing with that kind of customer for the first time?
We didn't. It was a disaster. Really cool client, but we weren't ready for it. And it was a disaster because—
So what did you learn?
We have to have people in place beyond us. And I would venture to say that 95% of your dealers out there do not have the staff in-house or the resources in-house to by themselves adequately support those clients. And so I think number one is setting the expectation with the client that, hey, your system's not going to work, but when you call us, we have this team of other companies that we've put it together that are all going to work together to take care of you. And whether that's BlackWire Designs or, any of the other companies out there, I mentioned One Vision, PreSale, whatever it is, you've got to have your team in place until you can internally staff it yourself. But even then, like if you carry 3 or 4 different systems, Savant, Control4, Crestron, Just Add Power, the odds of your head programmer knowing every one of those systems well enough to troubleshoot Just Add Power for you when it goes off the rails is tricky. So having a company like BlackWire Designs that you can go to and say, hey, I need your support is everything.
Right. Do you guys use One Vision or?
We would like to, hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Are there other things, Matt, that you guys will do with certain clients throughout the year in terms of proactively checking in with them or different touch points that you have to say like, I know, like you were saying before, yeah, we do try to keep everyone, kind of on the same level. But I mean, the types of projects that you have for certain people compared to other people. Are there certain clients that you make sure that, hey, you're going to send out that holiday greetings letter to or something like that?
Sure, yeah. Like we have our list of VIP clients that we send a box of chocolates to every Christmas, and let them know we still care about them and still love them. And there's a couple of guys that we invite golfing a couple of times a year, and some little things like that. I think more specific to service, whatever happens with One Vision, going through the process and learning an awful lot from them over the last 6 months, we'll do a lot more proactively to kind of reach out and ping. I mean, if you're using something like Oversee and you're getting proactive monitoring anyway, that's going to help. But I think we'll have pieces set up in their service agreements that kind of specify how we're going to reach out and monitor their accounts. And with the ultra wealthy, the ultra luxury clients, they like to be taken care of. I mean, they'll tell you, they'll write you a check for $300,000. They'll be like, hey, Matt, I know you have 10 other clients, but I'm priority. And when I call you, whatever you're doing, I'm priority. And you're like, okay. And they want to feel that way after they're into their home too.
Yeah. So what's your discretion when it comes to clients like that?
I don't, like I said, candidly, I think we've fallen down. I think what we've tried to do is try and ascertain if it's really truly a fire or just, hey, I'm bored and I'm a couple of beers in and it's a Saturday night and I'm watching my video tiling and I'm curious what the new latest and greatest 4K projector might look on my tiling system. Like, cool, I can call you back on Monday. I'm having a party right now and I can't get my video tiling system on. Like, okay, I'm dropping everything to help you. But I think we also, again, have to kind of help them set that expectation. Something we see from luxury clients all the time. They have a party that's scheduled for Friday night and they've known about this party for 4 weeks and they've told all their friends, all the who's coming, and their system hasn't worked in 2 weeks. And they wait until Friday night when the party starts to tell us that it's not working. And so we beg and plead with our clients. If you're having a party, the second you firm the date, you email us and you let us know, and we need a couple of appointments scheduled. We need one right now, and we need another one the day before, and we'll schedule to have somebody on call the day of. But that's a premium service plan. You don't get that for nothing. You got to pay for it.
Right.
But then we can guarantee you that we're taking care of you. But if you call us after the party started and you've known about it for 4 weeks, we can't help you. But that conversation has to happen months in advance of that party. You can't tell them to kick rocks after the party's already happened.
Yeah, so you already have your different levels of service plans that go over the various things that come with them. And chances are, if they're in the category of client that we're talking about today, they're in, the first or second tier, I would imagine.
So
Are
many
there-
moons ago
yeah.
in the
Go ahead,
in
Tom.
the 90s, I worked as an integrator in the early to late 90s. And there were a handful of clients. I said, there are enough zeros on this check that I need you to understand the concept that we're dating, we're now engaged, and when this project goes on, we will be married. And at some point, we might end up divorced. And I really think the number of zeros, and with luxury clients, it's a relationship. It's got to be a two-way relationship. It's got to be almost like a friendly relationship. But there were clients that over the years I felt like, we need to divorce this client. Like it's never going to be right, no matter what we did. So I mean, I walked into a house once with a Pioneer plasma on the wall that was $25,000, and the glass was broken, and the customers, I spent enough money with you, this should be under warranty. And my reply was, I would divorce your kid that hit this with the golf club. So that's a whole nother factor, because you literally are dealing with people who have a much higher expectation on everything.
Great. Well, I'm sure there are plenty of integrators out there who can relate to that. So let's end on that note. And once again, I want to thank Matt, Taft, and Cody for sharing their perspectives on this week's podcast.